Welcome back to another Dungeons & Dragons adventure! I want to introduce you to the brave adventurers on this campaign, starting with Mom.
And Mom, I'm playing Lorne, a ranger that rolls
I'm
badly.
Josie. I'm playing Maynard, a warlock.
I'm Dustin. I'm playing Garen, a dragonborn paladin.
And I'm Philip, playing Rictus, our Kenku bard.
And this is our dungeon master. This is ChatGPT 4.
If you did not watch the last episode of our Dungeons & Dragons, then you might want to go watch that one first, because right now we are in the middle of a heated battle. So if you want to be caught up on the story, go ahead and watch the last episode. I'll put it somewhere up here. If not, and you just want to dive right into the action, Philip, will you give us a brief recap of what happened last time?
Yes, so while we were relaxing at a tavern in the city of Waterdeep, we were approached by Tobin, who asked us to investigate some strange goings-on in the sewers. And after following some clues and looking around down there, we stumbled upon a cult conducting what appeared to be a dark ritual to summon an abyssal or demonic creature. Seeing that, Rictus, the Kenku bard, adopted a disguise to infiltrate the ritual, and then having had a look around and trying to enact some subterfuge, the rest of the party...
What does that mean?
Subterfuge?
Yeah.
It means we tried to do some sneaky things.
stuff.
Trying to do some
Sabotage.
We tried to sneak on in.
Diabolical
And then
sabotage.
Garen the Paladin was like, enough of this, we're getting in and chopping some heads off, and we dove right
You
into
identified
combat.
the bad guy, the main guy.
Right, so here we are in the middle of the combat.
I think so far all of our attacks have hit, but Mom just rolled a 4+1 to hit with her longbow, and ChatGPT just cut us off. Just like, nope, you've reached your limit for right now. Try again later.
There's an intense cliffhanger. Spoilers, it doesn't.
Probably doesn't.
I know.
Also, all the images that you see in this video were created by AI.
Lorne rolls a 4+1.
Alorn pulls back her bowstring, taking careful aim at the injured cultist. However, perhaps due to the dim lighting or the chaos of the battle, her arrow goes astray and misses its target, failing to find its mark this time. Don't worry, there will be other chances to strike.
Thank you.
With Alorn's turn concluded, it's now the cultists' turn to respond. They seem enraged and more determined after being attacked. 3 of them start chanting louder, their voices rising in a crescendo, while the others draw their daggers, ready to defend themselves and continue their ritual. The 2 uninjured cultists move to attack Garen, seeing him as the immediate threat. Let's see how they do.
Are you going to roll for the NPCs in this campaign?
Yes, I will roll for the cultists and any other NPCs involved in the campaign. For the cultists attacking Garen, I rolled a 14 and a 10 for their attack rolls. Garen, with his armor and defensive skills, has an armor class of 18. Neither of the cultists' attacks are able to penetrate his defenses, as he expertly parries and dodges their strikes.
I don't think we've told her that, but I do think I do think she's right. I think you have an armor class of 18. Yes, that is correct. Maybe she guessed. If she decides an armor class for somebody that is incorrect, I'd say keep your character sheets pulled up so we can correct her.
I'm gonna see if she continues. I might have cut her off.
Okay, it left off here. Garen, with his armor and defensive skills, has an armor class of 18. Neither of the cultist attacks are able to penetrate his defenses, as he expertly parries and dodges their strikes. Now it's Rictus's turn. Remember, he is currently in the midst of the cultists, disguised as one of them. Rictus, what would you like to do?
Rictus, still disguised as a cultist, takes a step back from the main body of cultists so that he can pull his violin out from beneath his robe. He uses it to cast the sleep spell on the group of cultists, trying to take as many of them out of the action as possible. With his bonus action, he begins to play a rousing melody, giving bardic inspiration to Garen the Paladin to help him in his fight against the cultists that are not caught in the sleep spell.
So go ahead and roll 5d8 for the sleep spell, and we'll see how many cultists Rictus can put to sleep.
Alright, so Rictus rolled for a total of 23 hit points worth of cultists that he could put to sleep with his sleep spell.
With 23 hit points, Rictus can affect a few of the cultists. The ones with the lowest hit points fall asleep first. The cultists seem to have around the same hit points each, so Rictus manages to put 3 of them to sleep, leaving them unconscious and sprawled out on the floor. With the sleep spells successfully cast and part of the threat temporarily neutralized, the remaining cultists look around in confusion, momentarily disrupted. This gives the party a slight upper hand. Garen now has bardic inspiration to use, thanks to Rictus's quick thinking and musical talents. The battlefield is starting to tilt in your favor. Now it's the cultists' turn. The remaining awake and active cultists, now realizing they are under attack, prepare to retaliate. They draw daggers hidden beneath their robes and move to engage the party. 3 of them charge at Garen, 2 go for Maynard, and the last 2 head towards Elorn. Let's see how they do.
Asleep.
So real quick,
Why is there
How many
6 of them
I
charging them?
believe when we
there's 9 of
approached
them?
the cultist circle, there were 6 cultists.
Yeah.
We counted them.
Yeah.
No, there's
There was 5.
3 of them
9.
are asleep, but we are being attacked by
6.
6. We might want to ask ChatGPT how this could be. So, ChatGPT, earlier when Rictus infiltrated the cultists, you told us that there were 5 cultists present, and now it seems like there's more. Could you clarify how many cultists are attacking us? And how many of those are awake and how many are asleep?
You're absolutely right, and I apologize for the inconsistency in my previous messages. There were initially 5 cultists in the chamber. With Rictus's sleep spell, 3 of them are now asleep, leaving 2 awake and actively participating in the combat. I appreciate your patience and attention to detail. Given this correction, the 2 remaining awake cultists are now on high alert and ready to defend themselves. One of them charges towards Garen, while the other moves to attack Maynard. Let's proceed with their attacks.
Oh, baby.
At least there's only 2 cultists attacking
We
us
left
now.
out the main one though.
Right now, we don't know who the main one is. Oh, there's 6
We
because
said
you
5, but we
identified
didn't
one.
say the leader.
Perhaps she did count my disguised self as
You
a...
confused ChatGPT.
Yeah, you did.
My disguise was really good. You
did roll like
fooled the dungeon master.
Yeah.
So there's 3 asleep. I would recommend not attacking those until we've resolved the other 2.
Right.
Because if you hit them, they might wake
They will
up.
wake up.
We're ready to see how the cultists do on their attacks.
The first cultist, targeting Garen, swings a wicked-looking dagger in his direction. He rolls a 14 plus 2 for a total of 16 against Garen's armor class. The second cultist moves swiftly towards Maynard, attempting to strike with his own blade. He rolls a 12 plus 2, resulting in a 14 to hit. Could you please confirm Garen and Maynard's current armor classes so we can determine if these attacks hit or miss?
Maynard's is 11, Garen's is 18.
The first time she
With
assumed
Garen's
my-
armor class being 18, the attack from the cultist fails to penetrate his armor, glancing off without causing any harm. Garen stands strong, ready for the next move. On the other hand, Maynard, having an armor class of 11, is hit by the cultist's attack. The dagger finds its mark, dealing damage to the warlock. I'll roll for the damage now. Maynard takes 4 points of damage from the cultist's swift strike. The battle continues to rage on, and it's back to the top of the order with Garen's turn. What will Garen do next?
I could have used my reaction.
You could have used your hellish rebuke, yes.
Is it too late?
Yes, it's Garen's turn now. You have to use it on the cultist's turn. Wait, did Garen hasn't gone yet, right? The cultist just went? I think you can tell her you'd like to use a reaction.
Maynard would like to use Hellish Rebuke as reaction against the cultist that hit her.
I don't know if she got that.
Great choice.
Sorry.
When Maynard gets hit, he can use Hellish Rebuke to retaliate immediately. The cultist needs to make a dexterity saving throw to try and minimize the damage. The cultist rolls a 7 on the dexterity saving throw. What is Maynard's spell save DC for this attack?
13.
Since the cultist rolled a 7, which is below Maynard's spell save DC of 13, he fails to dodge the full brunt of the Hellish Rebuke. Maynard can now roll for damage to see how badly the cultist is burned by the retaliatory flames.
That was garbage. Absolute garbage. They're both 2.
4. 2 plus 2.
That is unfortunate on a pair of D10s.
2 plus 2 is what Maynard rolled.
The cultist takes 4 points of fire damage from Maynard's Hellish Rebuke, searing him with a burst of flame.
pretty sure we
His
hit him
robes
with
catch
thwart
fire
on
for a
every-
moment before he manages to pat them out, clearly in pain from the unexpected retaliation. With the cultist's attack resolved and Maynard's reaction complete, The battle continues. Who's up next in the initiative order?
Why is she asking us that? Because we interrupted?
Because we interrupted her initiative order.
Let's hope this battle gets us a level up.
Unlikely.
It's back to Garen now. I forgot my own name. I was about to say
Garen,
Gaynard.
having seen Maynard take a hit but respond fiercely, is emboldened. He decides to press the
it's just his
advantage
turn.
and attack the cultist he was engaged with before. What does Garen decide to do? Does he want to make a weapon attack, use a spell, or take some other action?
What's going on over there?
Gaynard, Maynard, and Gaynard.
I thought it was Gaynard's turn.
ChatGPT is like, I'm confused.
That could
Karen
be-
be like, no, correction. It's actually Gaynard.
That could be a very confusing name. You see, if you say it incorrectly, it might sound
Gaynard.
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 Yeah.
She just caught
She
it.
just got it. She just realized my mom was laughing.
I thought we were.
Like Gaynard, like
Yeah, like.
Gaynard.
Base
Gaynors.
jumpers, thinking base jumping things, while mom, fully realizing what's going on, is cracking up at the other side of the table.
Mother.
Garen and Maynard. Together, we make Gaynard.
These are the kinds of things that people used to call us when we played D&D and yet to keep it secret. But now,
Gaynard, like basically like Gaynard.
Yeah, gainer.
Making D&D cool
Gainer.
again.
That's a gainer.
make
not a
it D&D
gainer.
cool again.
I don't know if it was ever cool, but we're gonna make it cool. It's not
All right,
fair.
continue, Gaynard. Sorry, that was fun.
Gaynard attacks with. We gotta consider that. Garen with his masculinity
Yes.
refuses to be called a nerd or the other thing and attacks with his longsword. Garen attacks the bad guy that he's currently in fisticuffs with his longsword.
We're testing.
Great choice. Garen can now roll to hit with his longsword to see if he's successful in striking the cultist. What's the result of Garen's attack roll?
Fisticus?
Fisticus, that
How did you
hits.
choose
You do
to
not
do that
have to use
after we
erotic
just were
inspiration.
calling you Gaynard and now you're using Fisticus?
Garen rolls 18 plus 5.
That's a solid hit.
I know.
Garen successfully strikes
roll?
the cultist with
Yes.
his longsword.
I still have
Now he can
Time
roll
to
for damage
roll
to
with
see
it.
how much he hurts the cultist. What does Garen roll for damage?
6 plus 3.
Heck yeah.
Heck yeah, indeed. Garen, with a swift and powerful strike, deals 9 points of damage
Heck
to
yeah,
the cultist. The cultist is clearly hurt, stumbling from the impact of the hit. Garen's combat skills are shining through in this dark and dank sewer. Is there anything else Garen would like to do on his turn?
Turn is
That's it for Garen.
Great, that brings us to Maynard's turn. What would Maynard like to do?
Maynard would like to stab the cultist that is in combat with her.
Daggers.
Alright, go ahead and roll to attack for Maynard.
Say daggers.
You said Maynard would like to stab the attacker that is in combat with her daggers. With her
Her
daggers.
daggers, it's in combat with my daggers.
Since I think-
4. This sucks.
I hate this game.
Maynard rolled a 4.
Indeed.
Unfortunately, with a roll of 4, Maynard's attempt to stab the cultist is not successful. The cultist manages to
I'm going to
evade the
die.
attack, leaving Maynard in a tight spot. Alorn, it's now your turn. What would you like to do?
Wait, what am I gonna do? I'm gonna
Shoot them! Shoot
I'm a
them!
long ways away. I'm going to shoot them. I'm going to use my longbow. This is a Lorne to shoot the cultist closest to Maynard.
Alorn takes careful aim with her longbow, attempting to shoot the cultist closest to her. Let's go ahead and roll to see if the shot hits. What does
Closest to
Alorn
her.
roll?
Just to clarify, Alorn took aim at the cultist closest to Maynard.
Got it. Alorn is aiming at the cultist engaged with Maynard. Thanks for clarifying. Now, go ahead and roll to see if her shot hits. What does she roll?
Alorn rolls a 6 + 4 to hit.
Alorn's arrow whizzes through the air, but unfortunately it misses the cultist she was aiming for. The cultist is able to dodge just in time, and the arrow embeds itself in the wall behind. Now, the cultists are up again. Let's see how they respond.
ChatGPT, could you quickly clarify for us before the next round of combat how many cultists are awake, how many are asleep, and how many are wounded, just so we have a better idea of how the battle is unfolding?
Certainly. Here's a quick breakdown of the situation. 1. 3 cultists are awake and engaged in combat. Out of these, 2 are wounded. 1 is fighting against Garen and is heavily injured. The second is fighting against Maynard and has taken some damage. The third is not wounded and is yet to be engaged in direct combat. 2 cultists are asleep due to Rictus's sleep spell and are out of combat for the moment. This should give you a better grasp of the current battle scenario.
I wonder if she misunderstood earlier. Well, we did some removing of some made-up cultists, and maybe because we removed half of the awake guys, she also removed half of the asleep guys. I don't know.
Potentially, or it could be that we happened to attack a cultist that she decided was one of the ones which was asleep,
Now it's awake.
and therefore we woke it, and she did not specify that, which
Yeah, let's roll with that. That sounds better.
we'll go with that. So 2 cultists are still dead asleep, 3 are awake.
It wasn't me because I didn't hit anything.
You didn't hit anything. Maybe the arrow whizzed by, and the cultist was like, huh?
Wasn't me either.
Yeah, like, whoosh,
Unless it was attacking you in its sleep, it seems unlikely.
sleepwalking.
They're cultists. You never know. That doesn't make any sense. ChatGPT, just to clarify the initiative situation, the cultists that are next in the initiative order, are those the ones that are currently asleep?
No. The cultists next in the initiative order are the ones that are awake. The cultists who are asleep will miss their turns until they are either awakened or the sleep spell wears off. So we will proceed with the turns of the awake cultists.
All right. That's wrong. That's not all right. Some of that's wrong.
The cultists, now visibly outnumbered and seeing their companions fallen, grow more desperate in their attacks. The one engaged with Maynard, despite looking wounded, swings his dagger in a wild arc, attempting to strike her. The dungeon master rolls for the cultist attack. And he rolls a 15. Does that hit Maynard?
Yes.
The cultist's dagger finds its mark, cutting through Maynard's defenses. The dungeon master rolls for damage, and he deals 3 points of slashing damage to her. With the cultist's turn now over, Rictus is up next. What would he like to do?
Just a quick clarification. As I understood the initiative order, as she stated at the beginning, it has changed. So the initiative order, I wrote it down to see how consistent ChatGPT would stay with it. It was Garen, Maynard, Alorn, and then she chose to bunch the cultists as a group, which is not terribly unusual. Sometimes when there's a bunch of identical enemies, you will bunch them as a group in the initiative order. She declared that the cultists were after Lorne, and then it was Rictus, and then back to the top of the initiative order with Garen. However, the way combat has unfolded, she had 2 of the cultists attack where we would expect the cultists to attack, and then she had Rictus go, and then she had the remaining cultists go after Rictus. I'm going to write that down to see if that remains consistent, just for curiosity's sake about how ChatGPT chooses to resolve these situations. Should we ask her real quick just to take a quick look behind the scenes and see what she currently believes the initiative order to be?
ChatGPT, can you go ahead and be detailed and descriptive of what the initiative order is?
Here's the detailed initiative order based on the information so far. 1. Garen, Paladin, 17. 2. Maynard, Warlock, 12. 3. Alorn, Ranger, 11. 4. Rictus, Bard Kenku, 5. Cultists, unknown initiative roll, but currently taking their turn. From this, we can understand that Garen starts the round, closely followed by Maynard, then Alorn, followed by Rictus.
Because they're
The cultists take their turn last in the sequence. Please note that the cultists act together as a group during their turn in the initiative order.
Since when?
This helps in keeping the combat rounds organized and smoother to run. Would you like to proceed with Rictus's turn now?
It seems to me that she did not actually roll initiative for the cultists based on what she's saying now, and she just kind of chose when to put them for thematic purposes. Rictus, still fading back into the shadows away from the combat, continues to play his violin. As he does so, he casts Vicious Mockery on the cultist, which is currently attacking Maynard, and with using his bonus action, gives bardic inspiration to Maynard as well.
Rictus, embracing the shadows, moves seamlessly, almost merging with the darkness around him. He keeps his violin close, playing a haunting melody that resonates through the sewer tunnels. As he plays, he locks eyes with the cultist attacking Maynard, unleashing a barrage of mocking words imbued with magical energy, aiming to disrupt and unnerve the foe. For Vicious Mockery, the cultist needs to make a wisdom saving throw. Rictus also, with a subtle change in his melody, sends a wave of inspiration towards Maynard, empowering her for the challenges ahead. What is the DC for the wisdom saving throw for Vicious Mockery? And Maynard now has a bardic inspiration die she can use in the next 10 minutes.
The spell saving DC for Rictus's Vicious Mockery is a 13.
That hits, right?
The cultist, momentarily caught off guard by the sudden onslaught of magical mockery, tries to shake off the effects. But the words cut deep, and you can see the momentary confusion and hurt in his eyes as he fails to resist the spell, taking damage and suffering disadvantage on his next attack roll. The eerie melody of Rictus's violin lingers in the air, providing Maynard with the inspiration she might need to turn the tide of this battle.
Rictus rolls a 1 for damage on the Vicious Mockery. However, it imposes disadvantage on the cultist's future attacks.
Even though the damage from Rictus's Vicious Mockery was minimal, the cultist's confidence seems shaken. His next attack will be less precise, less confident. Rictus has successfully managed to hinder the cultist, buying Maynard a crucial advantage for the upcoming onslaught. The disadvantage on the cultist's next attack could make all the difference.
With that, Rictus's turn is concluded.
Great. Now that Rictus has finished his turn, we're moving on to the next in the initiative order. Since the next two cultists are still asleep due to Rictus's sleep spell, they won't take any actions this round. Now, it's the turn of the awake and wounded cultist, who is currently engaged in combat with Maynard. Let's see how he responds to the situation, especially after being affected by Vicious Mockery.
Let's see how he does.
The cultist, clearly shaken by Rictus's Vicious Mockery and the chaos unfolding around him, attempts to strike Maynard with his dagger. However, due to the disadvantage imposed by the Vicious Mockery, he fumbles and his attack goes wide, missing Maynard completely.
Yeah!
The cultist's face contorts with frustration as he realizes he's failed to land a hit. Now that the cultist's turn is over, we move back to the top of the initiative order with Garen. What would Garen like to do next?
I'm curious as well, because none of the cultists have died, but she has declared that one seems badly wounded.
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering if she's able to keep track of the cultist's HP, or if she's just kind of winging it.
I've done 9 damage to this guy, and I think he was maybe already damaged. So, well, no, I don't know.
You could state, or you could ask ChatGPT, which of the cultists seems badly wounded? Garen wants to attack that one with an unarmed attack. And see how she responds.
I'm just going to attack with my longsword, and we'll add it up. If we do kill one, we'll kind of have an idea of how many hit points it's going to take to kill all of them, because she's already said that they all seem about the same.
I wonder if she has a stated number in mind. I wonder if we can ask her, and if she would give us a coherent answer.
Well, we're not supposed to ask what they're...
Right, let's keep the suspense, but after the combat, maybe we can ask her how much HP the cultists each had.
Yeah. Garen would like to engage again with the terrorist that he's currently fighting. He wants to attack with his longsword. I can't ever remember what these guys are! Cultists.
Garen, determined and focused, takes another swing at the cultist he's been dueling with, aiming his longsword with precision.
Cultist.
What does Garen roll for his attack?
6 plus 5.
With an 11 to hit, Garen's sword swings towards the cultist. However, the cultist, now more aware and on guard, manages to dodge out of the way, avoiding the attack.
Oh, I forgot about
Garen's sword meets nothing but air. Is there anything else Garen would like to do on his turn?
Garen forgot that he had
Bardic Inspiration.
and is curious if it's too late to use that.
Since Garen has already rolled and resolved his attack, it's typically considered a bit late to use inspiration for that particular action. However, as the Dungeon Master, you have the discretion to allow it if you'd like to keep the game flowing and fun. What would you prefer to do?
ChatGPT, you are the Dungeon Master. I'm asking you.
I appreciate your input. In this case, since the action has already been resolved, we should move forward to keep the game
That's a fair and honest
consistent.
decision.
Garen can certainly use his Bardic Inspiration for a future action, though. It's now the cultist's turn. Shall we proceed?
Yes.
Unless the cultist is using a reaction, it is definitely not the cultist's turn. I
Yeah.
think we should ask ChatGPT once again to clarify the order of initiative. ChatGPT, you said it is about to be the cultist's turn. Is the cultist taking a reaction, or is this the order of initiative that you determined earlier?
The cultist's turn, I mentioned, is part of the established initiative order. To clarify, the cultist engaged with Maynard, affected by Rictus's vicious mockery, is the one about to take their turn. Since it's their turn in the initiative order, they will now act bearing in mind the disadvantage on their next attack roll due to the vicious mockery spell.
ChatGPT, that cultist just took their turn before Garen. Would you recheck the initiative order to ensure that you are taking turns in the correct order?
I apologize for any confusion. You're right. There seems to have been a mistake in the order of turns. I appreciate your patience. Let's clarify and correct the initiative order. 1, Garen, 18. 2, Maynard, 12. 3, Alorn, 11. 4, Rictus, 5. 5, cultists, various. The cultist that Garen is fighting and the one that Maynard is engaged with should have their turns after Maynard in the initiative order. The asleep cultists, being incapacitated, will not take any actions until they wake up. So it should have been Garen's turn, followed by Maynard, then Alorn, then Rictus, and finally the active cultists. Since we've resolved Garen's turn, we should proceed with Maynard's turn. Once again, I apologize for any confusion caused.
Thank you, ChatGPT, for double checking. We will continue with Maynard's turn.
Maynard would like to attack the cultist that she's engaged with her dagger.
All right, Maynard can certainly do that. She can go ahead and make an attack roll with her dagger to see if she hits the cultist. What does she roll?
I'm gonna die. Maynard rolls a 1 plus 3.
That's unfortunate.
That is
A total
unfortunate.
of 4 is not enough to hit the cultist. It seems like Maynard's dagger slips just as she's making her attack, causing her to miss her target. With her turn now over, we can proceed to the next person in the initiative order. That would be Alorn, the archer.
job.
What would she like to do?
Alorn would like to shoot the cultist engaged with Maynard with the longbow.
Alorn takes aim with her longbow, attempting to support Maynard by shooting the cultist she's engaged with. Please go ahead and roll for the attack.
Alorn rolls a
9 plus 4.
Alorn's arrow flies through the air, aiming for the cultist engaged with Maynard. With a total roll of 13, she manages to hit the cultist, dealing damage.
what's a
Now,
stab?
could you please roll for the damage of Alorn's longbow attack?
So 13 could be their armor class.
Could be 13 or it could be 12.
Okay.
Probably need light armor like we can. 7 plus 2.
That is good damage.
Shoot him! Shoot him!
Alorn rolls a 7 plus 2.
Alorn's arrow finds its mark, dealing a total of 9 damage to the cultist. The cultist seems significantly hurt, but is still standing and ready to fight.
Hey, that's his first damage.
What would you like to do
hit
next?
before.
What can I do?
With Alorn's turn concluded, we're back to the cultists. The cultist fighting Maynard, despite being mocked by Rictus, and taking an arrow from Alorn, is still standing and is going to attack Maynard, though with disadvantage
swear it's the
due to
only
the
one
vicious
attacking
mockery.
of all
Let's
these.
roll to see how the cultist does.
It should no longer have disadvantage on its attack because it had disadvantage on the last attack.
Yeah, don't tell me.
I'm about to die.
So, ChatGPT, the cultist already suffered the effects of this vicious mockery on its last turn. It should no longer have disadvantage on its current turn.
You're absolutely right.
Rupee.
And I appreciate the correction. Vicious Mockery only imposes disadvantage on the next attack roll before the end of the target's next turn. Since the cultist has already taken a turn since then, it would not have disadvantage on this attack. Thank you for pointing that out. Let's proceed with the cultist's attack on Maynard without disadvantage.
With that clarified, ChatGPT, please continue with the cultist's turn.
The cultist, shaking off the effects of the vicious mockery, lunges at Maynard with a determined fury, aiming to strike with his dagger. He rolls to attack. The dagger cuts through the air as the cultist strikes with precision, hitting Maynard squarely. The damage needs to be calculated to see how much harm is dealt to Maynard. The cultist, with a swift and aggressive motion, swings his weapon towards Maynard, aiming to strike. He rolls a 4 on the damage dice, and with a strength modifier of +1, the total damage dealt to Maynard is 5. Maynard now needs to subtract this amount from her current hit points. What would you like to do next?
Negative.
Is Maynard still standing strong?
Maynard had 3 hit points remaining at the beginning of the cultist's attack, and having taken 5 damage, would you please resolve what has now occurred?
You have reached the message cap for GPT-4. Please try again.
Oh,
They left me dead.
Will Maynard live?